Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select all my NURBS objects here and delete them from the scene. I'm going to take my NURBS to poly, which I'm going to rename this just because I feel like it, to paint underscore tube. And then I'm going to delete all by type history. The last thing I'm going to do is recenter it in my scene using the move tool and snapping to grid and going in wireframe mode and moving this up to the center of the world space here. And lastly, which is something I forgot to do, which is to set my project folder. You should always set your project folder. I'm setting it to demo here. And I'm going to go ahead and save my scene. And I'm going to say quad draw demo. So what I want to do now is I want to use this tool that I don't think I think I said in the last video I didn't know what it did or something, or in the first week. And actually this is a pretty powerful tool for retypologizing objects. And so when we're thinking about typology, we're thinking about the flow of edges around your surface or around the mesh. And so like there is some kind of there is some logic to the way that some of this starts to work, but then for this automatic, this doesn't necessarily really work, especially when we're looking at the faces here, these kind of like large flat faces where they have multiple sides to one face. Like something about this just does not work. And so what I want to do, and it might be a little bit difficult because of the way this meets up here, but we're going to give it a try, is we are basically going to draw a new object by snapping to the surface of this object. We're going to draw out these faces using quad draw. And this is how in Maya you would, quote, retypologize. So you would change the typology, change the edge flow of your object. So let me go ahead and use this tool up here called Make the Selection Live. Let me make sure I'm in object mode here. And I'm going to click on this. And now, just like these other snap tools, I can actually snap, in this case, not to the grid or to a point, but to the whole surface here. And so now I'm going to use this function called quad draw to start to draw a new mesh. And for something like this, this is such a simple object, but especially if you're doing any type of kind of character building, or if you scan in, if you make a 3D scan and then you want to change the mesh, you want to animate that scan, you're going to want to do something like this. So let me go ahead and start by placing points or dots, and we can go to my tool settings here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and just start placing 4 dots, and you can see that they're snapped to the surface of my object. And actually what's great, and I think this is the case for, it's only the case for quad draw, okay. I didn't know if some of these other tools had this as well. But below quad draw we have, if we go to keyboard mouse shortcuts, how this tool works. So what buttons we need to press to be able to get this tool to function. And so I just left mouse button to click the dots, and I can drag them to tweak the dots. And then whenever I hit shift over, I can connect the dots and create a face. And now I can select, I'm not hitting anything, I can select vertices, edges, and whole faces. If I hit tab, I'm able to basically kind of like extrude a face. And so what I do is I just go down here and draw. I'm just hitting the tab tool a number of times. And I'm just going to draw a bunch of quads. And then what I can do is I can like pull this up here maybe. And also I have a kind of point here. So let me pull this up to this point and pull this up to this point. And I can go ahead and tab and extend these edges down, and I kind of have a sharp line, sharp edge to my model here. So let me go and move this down. Go ahead and tab, and as I'm tabbing, it's snapping. It should be snapping anyway. To the let me go ahead, and this is not looking right. Let's see if I can select my vertex here and change where this is located. So you kind of have to work by moving around your model. And I hit tab and extend this out, and you can see it kind of snaps. It wants to snap these two faces together. Okay, so, or those two edges anyway, and I believe it did it there. Let me go ahead and, oh, it didn't really. Maybe I will extend this up instead, and now it's snapped. You see when it's where it snapped the two vertices together, and go up again and extend this up, and extend this up, extend, and now I'm just working my way up my tube. Creating quads, which is creating a kind of new geometry. I'm making a new object, but this time the mesh will look like this. It will look like very clean faces with four edges. So I'm going to keep going here. And if I hover over any of these, I don't want this to extend on any longer. I'm able to hover at any point over a component to my quad draw in order to clean up what I've done. And I'm just going to go ahead and tab. I want to move this down. Extend this out. And remember, you know, I'm creating flat faces, so it's creating the vertices, snapping them to the surface of this mesh. But then the faces that get created are a little bit simpler than the mesh below it. So just important to kind of keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily going to snap. It doesn't snap to like edges, it just snaps to the surface. Let me go ahead and tab and extend this out like that, like so. Do the same thing here. Okay, I'm going to go around the other side. Feel free to fast forward this video. And it's having a little bit of trouble, I think, at the end here. I can tell when it snaps and when it doesn't, and this vertice seems a little bit wrong. Pull that up. And this does look pretty nice on this side. I'd like to get this looking a little bit better. Let me go ahead and kind of move. Let's see what other options I have here. I don't know if there's any way to kind of easily straighten this out, so I'm just going to go ahead and start to kind of straighten out my mesh here. And you know, this isn't fast by any means, but it does the job really well. And especially if you're going to be deforming your models, and certainly if you're pulling them into Mudbox, you are going to want doesn't really want to work in bottom mode. There we go. It's getting a little stuck for a second there. And if I drop a dot accidentally, I can always go and say clear dots. So in the interest of time, I think I'll kind of leave this side like the way it is. Let me go ahead and work around the model now. And, oh, there we go. If I hit relax, that does it. Relax will let them kind of fall into place a little bit. I hit shift, and it's kind of letting me do some adjustments. Okay. I'm going to start with the center here and just pull this out and pull out another one. Let me go kind of shift this, change its direction a little bit, snap that together. Make sure that's snapped, and it's not. So I'm going to move this down a little bit and snap that together. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Ooh, that doesn't look right. That is snapped to the wrong one. Let me go ahead and undo some of this because I didn't necessarily notice that. And let me go ahead and try this again. There, that's what I want. So let me go ahead now and finish this model. Finish at least this tube. And then we'll be back and go to the next step. Okay, here's my finished new model using QuadDraw. And I just want to kind of show you how I kind of resolved this here at the cap by making this into tries and also at the back. And I used the relax function, which is to use shift and the left mouse button, and that kind of just like evens everything out on kind of like larger more gradual changes in direction. I don't want to use it here. It will kind of smooth out this fine edge here. And then aside from that, I've kind of just tweaked where these little vertices are. And so I think I'm pretty happy with this. So it's already its own mesh. I can get off the quad draw tool, and here it is. And let me go ahead and center the pivot and pull it next to my original. And so it's quite a bit boxier, but if I go ahead and I hit 2 for smooth, or 3 rather, and I don't necessarily have to smooth the whole thing, it's looking pretty good. It's looking like a, I don't want to be in face mode, object mode here. You know, it's looking pretty smooth, and also you can see just like the difference between these two objects. And let me click off of live. I'm not able to select my object that's live if it's in live mode. So go back here and you can see just how much more clean this model is, the flow around the model. We don't have this large flat face with, you know, like 12 sides to it. Instead we have, it's broken up into 4 sides. And so this is a way that I can use a model to recreate another model with a kind of retopologized flow.